Genesis 11 verse 1. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. Humanity was united with a single language after the flood. Genesis 11 verse 2. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. People migrated and settled in the land of Shinar, Babylon. Genesis 11 verse 3. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." People decided to build with bricks instead of stone. Genesis 11 verse 4. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens. The Tower of Babel is planned to reach the sky." Genesis 11 verse 5. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. God observes their construction efforts. Genesis 11 verse 6. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." God sees their unity as powerful. Genesis 11 verse 7. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. God decides to intervene by creating multiple languages. Genesis 11 verse 8. So the Lord scattered them from over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. The project is abandoned as people are dispersed. Genesis 11 verse 9. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. Babel becomes synonymous with confusion. Genesis 11 verse 10. This is the account of Shem's family line. The narrative shifts to the genealogy of Shem. Genesis 11 verse 11. After he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. Shem's lineage continues for centuries. Genesis 11 verse 12. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. Begins the genealogy of Shem's descendants. Genesis 11 verse 13. After he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years. Arphaxad's lineage is extended. Genesis 11 verse 14. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. The genealogy continues through Shelah. Genesis 11 verse 15. After he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years. Shelah's line leads to Eber, the ancestor of the Hebrews. Genesis 11 verse 16. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. Eber's lineage is significant in biblical history. Genesis 11 verse 17. After he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years. Eber's family line expands over centuries. Genesis 11 verse 18. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. Peleg's descendants are further detailed. Genesis 11 verse 19. After he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years. Peleg's lineage is extended. Genesis 11 verse 20. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. The genealogy continues through Reu. Genesis 11 verse 21. After he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years. Reu's lineage is detailed further. Genesis 11 verse 22. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. The genealogy reaches Nahor, an important ancestor. Genesis 11 verse 23. After he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years. The line continues through Serug. Genesis 11 verse 24. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. Nahor's descendants lead to Terah. Genesis 11 verse 25. After he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years. The genealogy progresses to Terah. Genesis 11 verse 26. After Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. The genealogy introduces Abram, later Abraham. Genesis 11 verse 27. This is the account of Terah's family line. The focus shifts to Terah's sons and their lives. Genesis 11 verse 28. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans. Haran's death is noted. Genesis 11 verse 29. Abram and Nahor both married. Abram's wife was Sarai, and Nahor's wife was Milcah. Introduces Abram's family. Genesis 11 verse 30. Now Sarai was childless because she was not able to conceive. The barrenness of Sarai is emphasized. Genesis 11 verse 31. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, and set out for Canaan. Terah's family begins their journey toward Canaan. Genesis 11 verse 32. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. Marks the end of Terah's life and the beginning of Abram's story.